offered to explain his conduct at the time.
All right, we'll take a recess at this point, ladies and gentlemen, and we'll resume. Since
And the jurors for both defendants are back in court, and we'll resume with the trial. The defense may call its next witness.
We're going to recall now, Your Honor, Mrs. Marta Cano.
Would you state your name again for the record?
Sure. Marta, M-A-R-T-A, Menendez Cano, C-A-N-O.
All right.
Mrs. Cano, you previously testified that you were Jose Menendez's sister, correct?
That is correct.
And the prior witness, Marion Cano, is your daughter.
That is true.
All right. In 1979, did you and your children move to Princeton, New Jersey, that area?
Yes, we did.
Before that, you lived where?
Before that, I lived in San Juan, Puerto Rico for 14 years.
And during the time that your family resided in San Juan, Puerto Rico, did you make trips to the United States during which you'd see other members of your family?
Yes, I did.
In 1972, do you recall making a trip to the United States where you stayed with your brother Jose and his family in their home in New York?
Yes, I did.
At that time, were they living in the Muncie house that's on this chart?
That is correct.
And was this Muncie house, was the lot upon which this house stood at that time fairly heavily wooded?
Yes, it was.
Was it heavily wooded in the backyard?
Yes, it was.
Now, I want to show you a photograph. What's next to you? Excuse me? 178. Thank you. May I mark this 178, Your Honor?
Yes.
It's a photograph that appears to show a family gathering and a Christmas tree. Do you recognize this photograph?
Yes, I do.
There's a marking on the back of that photograph. Did you put the marking there?
Yes, I did.
And what is the marking?
December 1972.
And where was this photograph taken?
That photograph was taken during the week that we spent on Jose and Kitty's property in Muncie, New York, during Christmas 1972.
You said you stayed on their property. Did you camp out or did you stay in the house?
No, we stayed in the house.
All right. And you stayed with them for a week?
Yes, we did.
And at that time, how old was Eric?
Eric was a baby. He had been 2 in November, the end of November.
So he was 2 years and 1 month?
That is correct.
And Lyle was going on?
Lyle was 4 and he was going on 5 in January.
Now, was it characteristic?
Counsel, if you go back to the podium.
Was it characteristic in the family to celebrate Eric's birthday at Thanksgiving?
Yes, it was.
And was it also typical of celebrating Lyle's birthday at Christmas?
That is correct.
So, to the best of your recollection, did you ever attend any separate birthday functions for Lyle or for Eric, separate from these other holidays that were also happening?
No, unless it was a family gathering on that specific month for another reason.
Okay. Now, when you visited the family in 1972 during that week, did you see any behavior on the part, first of all, of your brother towards the children that you thought was notable?
Yes, I did.
And would you first describe the types of behaviors that you saw by your brother towards the children that you noted?
Do you want it towards Eric or towards Lyle?
Well, you can start with Eric if you like.
Well, with Eric, it was totally ignored unless he was doing something that Jose didn't like, and then he would just get up from the social gathering and say, "Eric," very strongly, and go grab him, pull him, bring him, put him between his knees, and then he would squat and hold him on the shoulder and say, "Listen to me." And Eric would cry instantly. The instant the father would touch him, he would start crying. He said, "Stop crying. I tell you to stop crying. Why can't you stop crying?" And he kept on yelling at the kid, and of course Eric would cry more. And then he would get completely frustrated and just send him to his bed, to his room, and just stop right there. He just couldn't stand it.
Now this is when Eric is 2.
Yeah.
And did you see this on more than one occasion during that week?
Yes, I saw it twice on that week.
And when he would send this 2-year-old to his room, would the child stay in the room?
Yeah, we didn't see him anymore that afternoon.
And would anybody, would his mother, would Kitty go to the room to see what the 2-year-old was doing in his room?
No, as a matter of fact, I tried, and Kitty
Wait.
stopped me.
Excuse me, there'd be an objection. Everything
No,
has to be
sorry.
All right,
All right, the objection is sustained. The answer is stricken after no.
okay. You never saw Kitty go to see what was happening inside the room with the 2-year-old?
No,
Did you go? Did you go?
no,
Did you try to go?
yes.
And who, if anyone, prevented you from going?
Kitty.
And tell us what happened.
Objection irrelevant.
Overruled.
She told me that her father had punished him and that I should not interfere.
Her father had punished
His
him?
father.
And you should not interfere.
That is correct.
Did you ever observe, well, let's stay with this week for a moment. Did you ever observe Kitty Menendez during this week ever interfere with Jose's punishments of Eric?
No, not at all.
Now, was there any other behavior besides the yelling, the grabbing, the shaking, and the sending to the room that you saw demonstrated by Jose in 1972 towards Eric that you thought was notable?
No, what I thought it was noticeable is that they were not supervising him and he was playing around with all the rest of the cousins, which were much older, and it just scared me to see such a little one outside playing with the big ones.
And you never saw, did you ever see Kitty Menendez go out periodically to check on the baby?
No.
Now let's turn then to what you saw that was notable concerning your brother's behavior towards Lyle during that same period of time. Was it different than his behavior towards Eric?
Yes.
Would
Yes,
you
it was.
Describe what you saw with respect to Lyle.
Well, he was very proud of Lyle whenever Lyle was doing something competitive against any one of the other cousins, and he would brag about it. Look at Lyle, I mean, he's strong and he can hit Peter and he can hit so-and-so and not cry, and he loved the fact that Lyle didn't cry, and even if they were hitting him.
This was sort of roughhousing among the boy cousins?
Yeah, Jose used to induce that type of competitiveness, fighting type of relationship, which I personally disliked.
He induced it, or he encouraged it between who? Between Lyle and whom?
He encouraged it between Lyle and Eric, or between Lyle and Peter, which was 2 years older than Lyle at the time.
And he would brag that Lyle wouldn't cry even if Peter was hitting him?
That is correct.
What else did you notice with respect to the way that Jose treated Lyle?
Well, there was an instance similar to Eric's instance.
And would you describe that?
Lyle was playing with Peter and something occurred. I don't remember. It was nothing big. Jose did exactly the same thing. We were sitting on the gathering and we were all talking and we didn't see the incident.
Let me stop you for a moment. When you say we were sitting at the gathering, we were all talking, who were you talking about?
My ex-husband Peter, Kitty, Jose, and I were sitting in the family room talking while the kids were playing.
So that the 4 adults were sitting and talking?
That's correct.
And at one point while you were sitting and talking, something happened?
That is correct.
And what happened?
I don't know exactly what happened. Something.
what happened that
they
you
were
did see?
running. Peter was Lyle was running after Peter, and Jose got out and said Lyle, and did the same thing, jank him on the bicep and pull him up and put him in front of him. And there was a big difference with Eric's respondo.
There was a big difference in whom? In Jose, or a big difference in the child?
In Lyle, he would get very stiff, very, very stiff, and look down and close his eyes and just listen to whatever his father had to say to him.
So Lyle didn't burst into tears and start crying?
No, he did not.
And what was the resolution then of the confrontation between Jose and Lyle? Lyle is silent, he's listening, then what happened?
He held him on the shoulders and showed him the same thing, and being on a squat position, looking straight at him, and he said, "You stop that. You listen to me, you stop that." And Lyle just stayed there. He stopped whatever he was doing.
He wasn't sent to his room, though?
No, he was not sent to the room at that time. He just went to one side and stayed there for a while.
Okay. Now, Mrs. Cano, at that time in your life, in 1972, were you a teacher?
Yes, I was.
And what level did you teach?
Irrelevant.
Overruled. You can answer the question.
I was teaching preschoolers from nursery to first grade,
And for how long a period of time in your life were you a preschool teacher?
14 years.
Now, did you in 1972, during this visit with the family, make any effort to talk to your brother about these behaviors that you saw?
Yes, I did.
Did you make any effort to talk to your sister-in-law about the punishments and the lack of supervision?
Yes, I did.
And what was your brother's response when you tried to talk to him about his treatment of the children?
He thought I was talking plain nonsense. He just made the fun out of me and asked me how many PhDs did I have in psychology and how many books had I read and who wrote them. And he just diminished my whole issue like ridiculous and not important.
What had you said to him?
Objection irrelevant.
Sustained.
And what about Kitty? Was she present when Jose was mocking you this way?
Yes, she was.
And what did she do or say?
She just,
Objection irrelevant.
Sustained.
Well,
Objection sustained.
did you ever talk to her separately?
yes, I did.
And did she seem to listen to what you were saying?
No, she didn't think it was important.
I'll show you a photograph.
John, I have two photographs that I'd like to know.
All right.
$179 is the vertical, 180 is the horizontal. And if you want to put them. Show them to the witness. Mrs. Ken, I want to show you these two photographs and ask if you recognize the people in them.
Yes, I do.
Who's the smaller person?
Oh, God, that's Eric.
And who's the larger person?
My brother, Jose.
And do you recognize, okay.
All right, have you seen these pictures before?
No, I have not.
Did you see them in a small version?
I don't recall.
Okay.
Your next question, please.
Does Eric appear to be between 1 and 2 years old in this photograph?
Yes,
In both of the photographs?
yes.
Do you, do you recall whether your sister-in-law, Kitty, frequently took photographs
Yes.
of the family?
Yes, she did.
Do you recall ever seeing your brother take photographs of family gatherings or of the children?
No, I do not.
So was Kitty the family photographer?
Yes, she was.
Were you aware in 1971 and 1972 that your brother would take the baby to the gym?
Yes, I was.
I move to strike the answer as lack of personal knowledge of the foundation.
Sustain, the answer is stricken.
Did you ever see your brother take the baby to the gym?
No, I did not.
Did you ever see your brother have Eric hold on to a bar and lift him with it?
Yes, I did see that.
And how old was Eric when you saw your brother doing that?
In 1972. He was 2 years old.
And would you describe what your brother would do with respect to the baby in the bar?
He would just pull it up and hold him up and see how much he could stand without crying.
And eventually would the baby start to cry?
Yes.
And after the baby started to cry, would your brother then put him down?
He would laugh at him and then put him down and keep on laughing because he was such a little one. He was such a sissy. He just cried for everything.
And had you ever seen your brother do the same exercise with Lyle?
No, I did not.
Mrs. Cano, are you Eric's godmother?
Yes, I am.
And do you love him very much?
Yes, I do.
Were you present for his baptism?
No.
Why was that?
Objection irrelevant.
Sustain.
Over the years of Eric's childhood, between the ages of, say, 2 and 15, were you attempting to see him or be with him more than your brother and your sister-in-law would permit?
Definitely.
Did you feel that you were being purposely excluded?
Yes, I did.
Objection irrelevant. Move to strike the answer as written.
Sustained, answer is stricken.
Did you know before Eric's baptism that you were being named godmother?
Objection irrelevant.
Sustained.
After the visit in 1972, did you continue to see your brother and his family for certain family gatherings over the course of the year?
Yes.
What would you do, for example, living in San Juan, what would you do at Christmas?
We will go over to either Jose's or Terry's and spend a week there during the Christmas holidays.
So you came to New Jersey for Christmas?
That is correct.
What about Thanksgiving?
No, I did not.
What about other holidays or events? Did you come over for any of those?
During the summer, we usually spend 2 weeks also in the New Jersey area.
And during those 2 weeks, would you see your brother and his family at family functions?
Yes.
You know, did you, over the years between 1970, say, and 1979, develop a friendly relationship with your sister-in-law, with Kitty?
Yes,
Objection irrelevant.
Overruled.
yes, I did.
And did you spend time even alone with her?
Yes, I did.
And did you find her to be a person who talked about her life much?
Objection irrelevant.
Overruled. You can answer that yes or no.
No.
Did she ever talk about her children?
Objection irrelevant.
Overruled.
Yes, she did.
Did she ever tell you anything about any problem with either of her children?
I'm sorry, I don't understand the question.
All right, did she, well, when she talked about her children, did she tell you good things?
No, not really. Depend.
Okay, did she tell you about Eric's learning disabilities?
No.
Did she tell you when they lost things, lost matches,
No.
lost rounds?
No.
Did she tell you when they got bad grades in school?
No.
Did she tell you when they were unhappy?
No.
Did she tell you Lyle wet
Okay,
his
counsel,
bed?
let's not go through a litany of things here.
My question is, did she ever say negative? Did she ever tell you about the negative things or the problems or the
No.
troubles?
No.
So when she talked about them, would she talk about the winning
Yes.
and the competing
Correct.
and the superior qualities?
Yes.
And were those qualities all related to sports and athletics and competition
And school. Yes.
and school? What did she tell you, for example, about Eric's performance at school?
That it was
Everything calls for hearsay,
Sustained.
It's not being offered for the truth at all, Your Honor.
then it's irrelevant.
Sustained.
Did you ever have any reason to believe, based on conversations with either your sister-in-law or your brother, that Eric was anything but a fabulous student?
No.
That's irrelevant to her state of mind.
Sustained. The answer is straight.
Did they ever indicate to you, well, first of all, do you believe they were telling you the truth when they reported to you on their children's accomplishments?
Objection, irrelevant.
Sustained.
I'd like to be heard in this area, Your Honor.
All right, we'll take
But I
a
think-
recess, ladies and gentlemen, and we'll resume at 1:30. Don't discuss the case with anyone. Don't form any final opinions about it. We'll resume at 1:30. All right, the jurors have left. What was it that you wanted to discuss?
I need to elicit from this witness, Your Honor, one other aspect of
This family, I mean, I know the people are going to argue, and the press has asked, and it's a common question, which is, how could it be that these boys were abused and molested for so long and nobody knew? And one of the